Okay, I think possibly I'm live right now. And who knows if I'm gonna get any viewers or anything on this. I'm basically just hoping that one person shows up and tells me whether or not the audio sounds good. Because if the audio sounds good, then that's good news. And I think I just got one person to join. But if you are here, that would be awesome if you told me how everything sounds. Sounds good. It's good. Okay. Oh, wow. I got 10 people. Holy crap. I'm just saying, guys, I didn't think anybody was going to join right now. This is kind of like a little test. So what I want to do in the future is make, at least in a video, and let you guys know, talk about reception. I can talk about that. But I want to let you guys know ahead of time, basically what's going on. So I'll say, hey, I'm going to live stream at this time, Eastern Standard Time. But I basically just got done with some work, and I figured, hey, you know, I can live stream right now, and 24 views. Oh God, you guys are killing me. Love your videos, thanks. I'm gonna try and pull this up. So if you guys give me a second, another thing I kind of want to do, maybe background music or something, that would be pretty cool. Let's see here. I don't want to make myself echo, so. You're leaving in a month. Where are you going? Where are you leaving for? If you guys are leaving for base training soon, let me know where you're going. All right, I see my chat on my computer. I'm glad you guys. I'm super happy you guys are enjoying my videos. Follow UNCC grad class 2000 reviews. Oh, okay. You're going to UNCC? That's pretty awesome. You should. We could probably meet up sometime. That'd be pretty cool, so we could talk about stuff. But yeah, I'm so happy you guys are enjoying videos and whatever I'm posting. It makes my day whenever I see, you know, basically what's going on right now, that you guys are enjoying it. It means a whole lot to me whenever you guys do that. So, do you need a lot of prior knowledge? I'm gonna go through and start answering you guys' question now, because this will be something really cool that I can do with live, is answering you guys' questions live. So COD NoobTube asked, do you need any prior knowledge to be 25 Bravo? You don't have to, but it's nice. So there was guys in my class that have no experience whatsoever. What happens is the first day of class, they're like, all right, you know, who has no experience with the computers at all? Raise your hand. Who has a little bit of experience? Raise your hand. Who has a lot? So that way the instructors can kind of get a feel for what the class is actually like, and then they can, you know, you'll know how you're going to be, and even your classmates can help out. But the first 5 weeks of 25 Bravo is basically the bare basics of computers. So you're going to learn all the different parts of computers. You're going to learn different software sides of computers, and if you don't know anything about computers, within those 5 weeks or after that, you're going to have a pretty good grasp on it, because in addition to the class, you also take online courses, because there's just a lot. There's a lot to learn. If you guys didn't know, computers are complicated, not just the pieces and parts, but actually how those pieces are working. It's a pretty complicated process, and you learn a lot. I actually used some of my 25 Bravo skills the other day to help fix my parents' computer. Fort Leonard Wood on the 28th. Have fun at Fort Lost in the Woods. Leaving for basic training on August 29th to Fort Sill. You're going into Army Reserves. Are you doing some kind of artillery FA? Because that would be pretty cool. It's actually a pretty cool job. But Fort Sill, from what I hear, is not that fun. Do I read my messages? Yes, I read every message I get. I reply to every single message I get. I try my best to reply to every single comment I get in the comment section of all my videos, even if it's a past video. But I'd say I'm probably at like a 95% success rate on that. But all my DMs I'm getting on Instagram, Snapchat, and all that stuff. So you didn't get a reply. Did you send me a message just now? Because if you sent me a message on YouTube, then I should have seen it. Let me look. Channel. Oops. All right. Did you send me a message on YouTube? Romeo Hey, boot camp, winter or summer. All right, so hey, while Romeo Migish, I'm terrible at pronouncing names, but Romeo, you sent me a message on YouTube. I could show you guys right now, but I don't have a message from you on YouTube. Let me see if it's filtered, spam. I haven't gotten a message from you on YouTube, so resend it. I've had issues. Some people have sent me messages twice because it may not have gone through the first time. But go through or just send it to me again. If you don't get it again, or if I don't reply to you tonight, then, you know, follow me on Instagram or something like that and send me a message through that. But all right, so boot camp, winter or summer, which is better? It honestly just depends. And the real thing that matters is what's your AIT, right? So basic training in the winter will suck really bad, so you want to try to avoid not going to basic training in January, February. That would suck a lot. So if you can leave in March towards the beginning of springtime, that would be great. But at the same time, if your AIT is a longer AIT, then you're going to get cold and hot no matter what happens, right? So what you kind of have to pick is, do I want to have a cold winter or a cold basic training, or do I want to have a cold AIT? And that's the question you really have to ask. So it just depends on your MOS. 92 alpha, okay. Let me try to read. Y'all, man, this is kind of cool right now. Do you have any idea of how Fort Leonard Wood is? Yeah, pretty much everything I've ever heard is it sucks. There's really nothing around it. That's why the nickname for it is Fort Lost in the Woods, because there's really nothing around it. So, how bad is binning in the summer? Super bad. It is ridiculously bad. So, if you guys didn't know, I went to Fort Benning from May 12th to July 24th. So, essentially right now, past would be whenever I left Fort Benning, but I also stayed in Georgia. I went to AIT at Fort Gordon, which is still in Georgia. So I was hot the whole time. But at Fort Benning in the summer, it's crazy because when you're doing that training, when you have all that gear on, it just is ridiculous. I feel like I'm super bright right now. Let's do this. Let's do this. I think that's a little bit better. But yeah, so like Fort Benning, it sucks for the heat, man. It's bad. You gotta wear a lot of gear. You always got stuff on, and it gets to a point where the sweatiness and the suckiness and the dirtiness and the sandiness at Fort Benning, it just is a way of life, and you kind of get used to it. But hey, I have a question. Do we do pull-ups at basic? Yeah, you'll do pull-ups usually just like once a week. I made a video on the typical day of what basic training PT is like, and there's just like the climbing drills. You can Google it. It's called the climbing drill, so Army climbing drills, and it's really not that many pull-ups. So what you'll do is you'll do 5 different exercises. Only 2 of them are actually really pull-ups related, and the only bad part about it is, let's say you're doing 5 pull-ups, they'll make you do a pull-up to where your chin is above the bar, and then sometimes the drill sergeants will make you hold it there until, like, you know, some Joe Schmo who can't do any pull-ups does a pull-up. So that's the only really sucky part, is it's only 5 pull-ups, but it could take a while. So, you know, before going to a recruiter, I just want to know, I want to be a machine gunner. What job would I take? Machine gunner. So you talking about being an infantryman with like a SAW 249? If you are talking about that, then basically, if you're going infantry and you want to have that, you know, that SAW, just fully automatic weapon, you're usually going to get that anyways, because what happens is in an infantry team or an infantry squad, the least experienced guys, so the lowest ranking guys, are generally the ones who shoot the SAWs. It's kind of like an initiation process. So once you make it through the SAW and all that stuff, then you usually will upgrade to like a rifleman and all that. So you can't get that in your contract or anything, but you'll more than likely operate a SAW at some point or another if you are going to be infantry. Leaving from basic. Oh, I lost in the comments. All right, where'd it go? Binning. Do you have a Facebook page or a profile? Yeah, I have a personal Facebook page. As of right now, I'm not trying to, you know, openly share that, so I'm not adding people on my Facebook, but on my Instagram and Snapchat, you guys you guys can add me on there as much as you like. So they choose based on how you're firing the 240s or 249s, I believe, on whether or not you're a saw gunner. Josh Anderson. Like I said, it's pretty much whether or not you're a saw gunner. Just depends on how inexperienced your squad is. So it's like I said, the worst shooter or the least experienced guy is usually going to end up with the worst weapon. Which it's all fun carrying a 240. It's all fun carrying a saw, but when you're climbing up mountains and you're rucking all the time and you got that extra 40, 50 pounds, it's not something that you want to do. Do we get to leave after basic training? That's something I want to talk about. I don't think I've talked about that too much. Whether or not you actually get to go home after basic training. If you're split ops, yeah, you can, but it just depends. So for me, I got lucky because I got to go home for 2 days after basic training. So what happened is I graduated from basic, and then they were like, nope, I don't care if you have a POV or anything. If your family lives 5 minutes down the road, you cannot go home, right? So they forced everybody to ship to their AIT, and once they got there, then some of them, not everybody, some of them were allowed to go home. I was lucky, and like I said, I went to Georgia. I stayed in Georgia, and it's only about 5 hours or so from my house. And once we got there and we unloaded all of our stuff, they were like, hey, you can fill out this waiver thing. If your parents or somebody wants to come pick you up, you can. And I was like, seriously, I can go home right now? So that was really, really cool. So essentially, I graduated basic training, and the first day of AIT, I left and I went home for 2 days. And that was the weirdest experience. A lot of you guys will figure this out, but when you go to basic training, it changes your mindset on everything. Like life, it just changes, right? And when you get to go home for the first time, man, it is so weird. Like you're just like, this is weird. So that was a weird 2 days. And then when I went back to AIT, it was like, oh, I'm home. The military is kind of what I know. So I just joined the National Guard. I'm super excited. Yeah, it's definitely an exciting experience. Joining the military, it's definitely exciting. It's scary. You don't know what you're gonna expect. Just talked to my recruiter, likely joining the National Guard 25 Bravo. Awesome MOS. I'm pretty out of shape. What's the best way to prepare for basic training? Made a video about that. Also want to make a more in-depth video soon of me demonstrating. But the best way to prepare for basic training, if you're talking physically, is just get off your butt and go run, do push-ups, do sit-ups, and just do the stuff that you're going to be tested on. You're going to be doing a lot of running. You're going to be doing a lot of push-ups. You're going to be doing a lot of ab workouts. So like they might make you hold a plank or do certain things like that. So those are the 3 things. If nothing else, if you just do that, then you'll be a lot better off than if you didn't. So the biggest advice I have is don't sit on your butt and do nothing. Yo, was one of your first subs, just graduated basic day. Oh, you did? Mad Dog, yeah, I remember you. I actually recognize pretty much everybody who comments on my videos because I reply to like everybody pretty much. So, you know, you should probably let people know, like, did you like basic, Mad Dog? You know, I don't remember where you went, if it was Benning or Fort Jackson or whatever, but yeah, congratulations. It's definitely awesome. Like I just said, when you get to go home for the first time, hopefully you get to go home soon. Like once you get to AIT, maybe there's a 4-day weekend or something. It's a really awesome experience. Jesse Holly, shoot 'em up. Can you verify the amount of push-ups needed to max PT? I'm hearing 78. Is it 78 or 71? The PT score or your PT score depends on your age, right? So I'm in the second age bracket. I think it's from 22 to 26. The first one that most of you guys are going to be in is going to be from age 17 to 21. And for y'all, the maximum for the push-ups is 71. And then the max for me is 75. Or it might be 72 for y'all. But I know what the maxes are for me. 75 push-ups, 80 sit-ups, and a 13-minute on my 2-mile. For y'all, I think it is for 17 to 21. I think the max for push-ups is 72. I take that back. It's not 71. I'm pretty sure it's 72. Then the max on sit-ups is 78. So that's probably where you're hearing 78. And then the 2-mile run is still the same at 13 minutes. Finally, you're live streaming, Tommy. I know. I've been meaning to. Honestly, I'm really busy a lot busier than most people. When you went to Fort Benning, yeah, you went. I remember. Okay, yeah, Mad Dog, you went to Fort Benning, and I remember you were leaving around the same time I did. So you can let people know, like, how was the heat this summer? Because I know it was really bad for me. Do you know anything about Fort Rucker? No, I don't. There's a lot of MOSs in the military. There's a lot of bases in the military. I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot about a lot of them because I've only been in for like 3 years at this point. You know, maybe when I'm 20 years in and I've been to 20 different posts and bases. I've only been to like 4 as of now. No, 5, I think. So I know about 5 of them. But other than that, you know, a military base is a military base. The only thing that really makes it good is the stuff around the base, and then whether or not it has like a bowling alley or a theater, or for me, the gyms. If the post has a nice gym, then that's okay with me. And a Subway. I love Subway. I'm going in at 28 years old, so fun. PFT max. Oh, yeah. So I think you're in the next bracket, so I think that's whenever it starts to go down. So like the push-ups and stuff. I'm not sure. It might be the next PT bracket, but we'll see. I'm not sure if the run changes for y'all either. But yeah, another thing is a lot of people ask me all the time, even just in the Army. So my buddies will be like, you know, what do you need to get on the PT test? And what they're referring to is like, what's the minimum? Because when you guys join, a lot of people like, they focus on the minimum score for the PT test and like, all right, I gotta get this. And a lot of people ask me, it's like, what's your minimum? Like, what do you have to get? And I don't know. The minimum for me is a 300. Like, if I don't max, then I'm pissed. So I don't know what the minimum scores are for me. Darian Ziegler, I ship August 14th. How long do I get to go home after 1 station unit training? It just depends, honestly. It just depends. Most likely, you're not going to get to go home right away. As I've said before, you'll have to wait until you get to your unit, and then you'll just wait until the next weekend. And if there's a 4-day weekend. Another thing I haven't talked about is 4-day weekends in the Army. And, you know, like let's say it's Thanksgiving or something like that. Usually there's a 4-day weekend, so you're off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, I about messed up counting that, but you're off 4 days and you have to fill out a packet in order to go home. So usually on all the 4-day weekends you should be able to go home. All right, $3.50 for a 6-inch sub deal going on right now. Oh yeah, it's what day is today? It's today Friday. Yeah, Wednesdays are the days whenever I always go to Subway because they got the best deal for the turkey subs. I always get a turkey sub. But all right, Tommy. So I really feel rushed in the enlisting process. My recruiter told me he could get me enlisted in the next 2 weeks, but like I haven't even started senior year, and I'm sure about what to do. All right, Tommy. This is really big advice for you. Don't let your recruiter rush you into anything. Okay. They have deadlines that they're trying to meet. They're trying to push people in the military because what happens is if you talk to any recruiter all the time, people will want to join and then they'll just second guess themselves and then quit, and then they'll just be like, all right, military's not for me. So what recruiters try to do is they try to push you along and kind of nudge you and be like, you can do it, you know, it's gonna be fine. Let's go ahead and get this paperwork set up and we're gonna send you in MEPS. And people don't even realize when you go to MEPS the first time, you're gonna swear in at the end of that day. And some people are just like, whoa, like I didn't realize, I thought I was getting my physical test or something. So recruiters will definitely try to push you. Don't do something if you don't want to do it. That's all I can say. Don't let your recruiter pressure you into anything. All right. Well, gosh, every time I scroll down, there's a little bit more comments because, yeah. Romeo, can I ship AIT if I'm a tech? I'll skip AIT if I'm a tech savvy. No. Gosh, why is it so bright? 1 second, y'all. Let me do this. No? I think it's his back. Let's do this. I hope that'll help. maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to get the lighting situation figured out here. I have some pretty cheap lights to help if it's later in the day, but you know, you do what you got to do whenever you're a smaller channel as far as lighting goes. I'm not a professional or anything, and I really wish this would focus on me better. But anyways, yeah, it doesn't matter what your prior experience is you are not going to skip AIT. I was pretty tech savvy. The first 5 weeks of that basic course at AIT for 25 Bravo School, I didn't really learn that much. I learned some of the basics, kind of refreshed my knowledge. There was a few things I didn't know, but you know, the things you learn on the civilian side, that lighting, man, the things you learn on the civilian side are going to be different than the military, because your military experience is going to be catered to the military. So there'll be a lot of military equipment you need to learn and stuff like that. So it doesn't matter. I could have been a master's or doctorates in computer science, but I would have learned something at AIT for sure. Have you ever thought about going SF or SO? Yeah, whenever I first wanted to join, the Army back when I was 18 and I wasn't in a relationship and I didn't have any college or anything like that, I actually went through the whole process and I was going to go in as a Special Forces 18 X-ray. I was ready to go. I think I was going to leave for basic around the same time, I believe, too. It would have been like May. But yeah, I was going to leave for SF, and I told everybody if Obama wins the re-election, or if Obama wins the re-election or whatever, then I'm not going to join. And if he doesn't, and I think it was John McCain, if John McCain wins, then I was going to join. And of course, Obama won. And yeah, so I didn't join. A couple years later, decided to go into the reserves. So I really wish this lighting. It's so weird that the lighting is this crappy. I feel bad. I feel really unprofessional whenever it looks bad. Nice undies. Yeah, I know. You and JT need to collab. Who is JT? I don't know. Is he another Army YouTuber? There's a couple guys, but at some point I think it'd be pretty cool to collab with people. It's the window in front of me. Yeah, there is a window in front of me, but it shouldn't be that, because it doesn't ever do this before. Let's try this. Alright, let's do this. It's a little bit better, I think. I think it's a little bit better anyways. Man, how could you waste an 18 X-ray? I'm sorry, dude. This life happens. There's a lot of things, especially for you younger guys, you know. Whenever I was 18, I'm 24 now. My life has changed pretty much every year up until this year. So you just can't expect certain things. So bonus points for me. Hua? Navy YouTuber. Oh, he's a Navy YouTuber. Okay. I take my ASVAB next week and I'm planning to go in the reserves. Will I go to MEPS or what to expect? Yeah, if you're in the Army Reserves, Navy, Marines, whatever, you're still going to go to MEPS and go through that experience. They'll split you up the morning of MEPS. It'll be like, right, all the Marines go over here, Coast Guard over here, Army over here. And it doesn't matter if you're Army Reserves, or National Guard. You're all going to go through the same process. How familiar is 92 or 94 Foxtrot and 25 Bravo? Recruiter told me very similar, but I feel like he is trying to get me in. Yeah, if a recruiter ever tells you that some job is really similar to another, I call bullcrap on that. I don't really know that much about 94 Foxtrot, but anything similar to 25 Bravo is going to be in the 25 series, so you know, like, if it's similar, then it's going to be in that. Let's see what is 94 Foxtrot. 94 Fox. Computer detection systems repairer. All right. preparing for any critical systems, including. Okay, this, what it looks like is it's more like you're not like a 25 Bravo who's doing like setting up networks and stuff like that. It looks like just technical equipment. You might be just troubleshooting it, trying to fix it or whatever. But the 25 Bravo's job, yeah, it kind of has to do with computers some, but the biggest thing is setting up the network and dealing with switches and routers and stuff like that, and connecting everybody so that they can talk and communicate. That's the real big mission behind 25 Bravo. I always get 270 to 300. That's great. What is your MOS? I was a 25 Bravo. Currently, I think since I've changed over, I think it's a 09U, which is just a holding place for being a cadet about to be an officer. So I still consider myself a 25 Bravo, even though on paper I'm not anymore. As you know. When do they tell you your first duty station? All right, so that's a good question. So some people ask me, like, you know, how will I know which place I'm going to go or whatever? Can you get that in your contract? No, you can't. What will happen is you'll go through basic, then you'll go through AIT, and then usually the last 2 weeks or so, you'll get after filling out all the paperwork and all the stuff that you need to do within the last 2 weeks, you should figure out where you're going to go, whether you're going to go to this base, that base, or the other base, go overseas, go to Korea, go wherever. You should figure that out the last 2 weeks of AIT. And you can't pick anything for your first duty station, I believe. On the side note, if you want to be an officer, you can pick your first duty station, except it adds, I think, 4 years to your contract, right? So you can pick your branch, and I think that adds 3 or 4 years, and you can pick your duty station if you're wanting to be an officer, not enlisted, but if you want to be an officer, and then that adds 3 or 4 years as well. So if you do both of those things, you know, you're looking at a minimum of like a 12-year contract if you're wanting to be an officer. Special Forces or SEAL. For me personally, I would do SF, but Navy SEALs are pretty cool too. The only thing with Navy SEALs is, like, let's say you didn't make it through training. Like, I don't want to be in the Navy. If I would have made it through Special Forces, or if I wouldn't have made it through Special Forces, I would still be in the Army. So that's something. Anyways, thanks a lot. Love your videos. Keep up the great work. Thank you for the support. I love that. I'm going to keep it up as long as I can until I have no other knowledge, and I really think it'll be an ongoing process, and I'll be able to share with you guys just my whole career as I go along. And some of you guys will be in the military and probably won't even watch these videos or anything anymore, but for the guys behind you that will be joining the military in 3-4 years, you know, I think it'd be pretty cool to have, you know, the whole process of me joining the military up to being like a captain or so. Circuit stuff. Yeah, okay. So 94 Fox. If you know something about something I don't know, please let people know, because there's just so much to learn. You know, it's just life. You can't know everything. Do 92 or 25 Charlie and infantry unit go out with the infantry guys on patrols, field ops, things like that? Yes and no. It could happen if you're short on guys. If you're just happen to be in an infantry platoon or company that's just short staffed and there's not that many people, and maybe you're in a combat zone and somebody got shot and they need somebody, they need a saw gunner, and you're that 25 Charlie or 25 Bravo or whatever, and you're attached to that unit, you could be picked up to go on that patrol. That's why everybody, when you join the Army, you're always infantry first. That's why they teach you infantry tactics no matter what your job's going to be, because at some point in your career you could be thrown into a situation where it will be life or death, whether or not you know basic infantry tactics. So you could be thrown into a infantry patrol, but it's not likely, but it could definitely happen. Switching from reserves to active, is it easy, and reserves a good option for family life? It kind of depends on the family life that you want to have. Active duty could be a good option for family life. either one, whether you're reserves or active duty, you're going to get deployed, and for that span of time, you're not going to get to be around your family, right? But if you're active duty and you're married and your family, you'll still get to see them every day because you'll just get stationed at Fort Bragg. You'll get stationed at Fort Drum or something like that. And if you're in the reserves, you'll deploy, come home, and you'll still be with them. And you'll see them at the end of the day with work. So if you have a 9-to-5 job, it's essentially the same thing as being active duty. You go to work from essentially 9 to 5 and you come home. You know, it's basically the same thing. So reserves and active, in my opinion, are really similar in a lot of ways. Just the biggest thing, if you're active duty, you deploy and you come home, or you go to a base. If you're reserves, you deploy and you go back home, right? So, and you do your other jobs. So as far as switching from reserves to active, you gotta get like a request of release to active duty or something like that. I can't remember the form. It just can't remember exactly, but you got to get some form, and if you get that approved and if they can find a unit for you, then it's simple. Another thing is, if you're wanting to do this, you better make sure that your NCOs, the people above you, or your first sergeant, your company commander, don't think you're a piece of crap, because if they do, then DD 368 form. Yeah, so there's, you know, DD 368 form. So there's probably another easier name to remember than that, but yeah, it kind of just depends. If your sergeant, your squad leader, whatever, if they like you and they're like, yeah, we understand, we'll try to find you a unit, then it could be the easiest transition ever. But if you're not, you're failing your PT scores, you know, you're not showing up to drill, and you're not doing all these things, you're not doing the simple things, then you could be looking at a difficult time trying to transition from reserve to active. I heard at MEPS you get to pick three duty stations. I mean, unless that's changed, I didn't get to. Well, the people that went whenever I left didn't get to. And also, after your first deployment and stuff, it's still your 3 picks. From what I hear, you usually don't end up getting those 3 anyways. Okay. Hey, I love watching your videos. You're very helpful. I don't know if you know anything about 68 Tango. My daughter graduated today, going to AIT, or I'm guessing AIT tomorrow. I don't know that much. I know 68 Whiskey, I believe, is a medic, so I'm assuming 68 Tango has something to do with that. All the medical fields are pretty difficult, so remind your daughter to work hard, because some AITs are actually pretty difficult. If I have a 6-year contract with the National Guard, what are the chances my unit gets deployed? In my opinion, 100%. If those 6 years and you don't get deployed, something weird has happened. Yeah, so if you're joining the military, I would definitely be expecting to leave. My first contract was a 6-year contract, 8-year commitment, and I expect to deploy. My unit is ramping up to deploy right now. We should be deploying within 2 years, so you know, at some point in time, I would definitely expect for you to deploy, and you can't really guess or predict when. But what did I get on my ASVAB? I got a 91. Some people get higher than that. I wish I would have studied at least a little bit, because I don't think I missed a math question. What happens is the math questions, they get harder and harder and harder as you go. I'm pretty darn good at math, even though sometimes in these videos I screw up on math. But I got into some pretty complicated questions on the math, and I don't think I missed any. So my math score was super high. Sciences, all that stuff was good. My lowest scores that brought my score down, I think, to a 91, is I sucked at the woodworking one and like the mechanical. So I don't really know anything about woodworking, even though I've learned a lot recently doing some real estate investing. And then like cars, like I like cars, but anything under the hood, I really don't know that much. Like I don't know how to change my oil, which a lot of people say is easy, but I don't know how, nor have I put in 5 minutes to learn how. So that could be why. All right, darn. Love your videos. I got an 88 on my ASVAB. Had no idea I was taking it at MEPS, and passed my OPAT 11 Bravo Army National Guard HUA. Yeah. So the OPAT, I guess they're testing you guys out for combat MOS. His OPAT's not that bad. The hardest thing really is just the I don't know, the beeping run. What is that called? It's basically like a shuttle run. So that's really the hardest thing. Everything else is just piece of cake. An 88 on your ASVAB is good. You should qualify for everything. Even though you're doing infantry, you'll probably be one of the smarter guys that you meet. Did I study for the ASVAB? No. If my AIT is 52 weeks and if I'm reserves, can I bring my car? As far as I know, 21 weeks, or if your AIT is longer than 21 weeks, then you can bring your car to AIT. My AIT was 20 weeks and 4 days, so I missed the cutoff by like 3 days to bring my car. So yeah, you should be able to bring your car to AIT. Did you answer my question for workouts after I finished my diet? I think I missed your response. Did you ask in the? I'm just going through these, so I may have answered it. I'm not sure. Did you answer my questions for workouts after I finished my diet? I think I missed your response. I'm not sure. You could probably ask it again, and I'll remember. Any advice? I leave a little over a week for basic training. Number one, I would cut out all your caffeine and all that crappy food because you don't want to go through the withdrawals and having the headaches and all that stuff. You know, if you're underweight, try to gain weight. If you're overweight, you know, try to run and get in shape as best you can, because once you get to reception, you're not going to be doing too much activity. So get in as good a shape as you possibly can. One of the mistakes I made whenever I joined was I rested essentially a week before basic training, because I thought because I didn't know that much, whenever you ship to basic training, they were like, all right, you're shipping to basic training on May 12th. I thought I was going to get to basic training on May 12th, but you don't. You get to reception, and I was there for 8 days. So I rested for a week before reception, and then I had another 8 days to really do nothing. So I did my best to do push-ups and sit-ups in the barracks at reception, but you know, I couldn't run or do anything like that. Somebody just asked a question about the 75th. What was it? What do you have to score on your ASVAB for the 75th Ranger Regiment? I'm not sure. Technical questions like that, I'm not sure, but it's not going to be like super high or anything like that. So if you can get a 50 or higher, I think you will be okay. Don't quote me on that, because honestly, I don't know for sure. Brandon, I wanted infantry because of short AIT time, which infantry is technically OSET, which is as basic and AIT together, so I could get back for college faster. Yeah, if you're doing National Guard, yeah, you could totally do that. You could do infantry, do that, and then if you want to do ROTC, you could, you know, join the National Guard as an officer. Not trying to advocate for being an officer, but life is much better as an officer. It's even better as a cadet right now. So it's a big difference. Like it's just separated. The life of an officer is so different than the life of an enlisted soldier. It's crazy. I got 40 people watching this right now. That's kind of crazy right now. Holy cow. Jeez. All right. So why did you want to join the Army? Made a video talking about that, but there's a whole list of reasons why I wanted to join the Army. Number one reason is I always wanted to join the Army, right? I always wanted to be a soldier. I didn't want to be a Navy sailor. I didn't want to be a Marine. I didn't want to be an airman or anything like that. I wanted to be a soldier. So I decided to become a soldier. Wanted to be active duty at first. Never wanted to join SF, all that route. Talked about that before. And then a couple years in college, I learned about the reserves, and I thought, I'm like, well, it's too late to do active duty now, at least for what I thought. And I heard about reserves and decided to do that, and I thought I could do the best of both worlds. So I'm doing my civilian thing that I want to do, and then I plan on deploying at least 2 to 3 times in the near future. I should deploy within 2 years from now. My unit's due to deploy, but I'll probably be at a different unit by then. And also, I'm going to be gone for bullock training, which will be, depending on which branch I get, will be 6 months essentially or 9 months. So you guys can expect videos from that from me. I'll get to talk to you guys about what that training process is like next year when I go to it. So essentially I have like 2 deployment times under my belt as far as active duty. Will I be disqualified if I don't get 20/20 on my vision? No, you won't. But if you have contacts or something like that, they'll just give you glasses. So there's a ton of people with glasses in the Army. So I don't think you'll be fine. I mean, I think you'll be fine for sure. I'm overweight by 36 pounds and I leave in a month. Your recruiter lets you sign in and do all that stuff whenever you are that much overweight, because that's it's possible, I guess, to lose that much weight, and I think you'll be fine. But I think if you lose 15 pounds or so when you're only just 15 pounds overweight, I think you'll be fine, because once you get to basic, you will lose a lot of that weight. Somebody asked a question. Their fiance's 68 whiskey. I lost it. Where is it at? Yeah, if you guys tag me Shoot 'em Up 89. It shows up in orange writing. So if you really want to have your question answered, it helps. What happens is I'll scroll down on here and then like it'll just jump, and then I lose one of the questions that I saw before. If I have a bachelor's degree, can I apply for OCS straight away after basic training? No and yes. So you want to apply for OCS if you have your bachelor's degree right away, and you want to get that in your enlistment contract that you have a slot available for you at OCS. You're not going to be able to do that after basic training. If you do that, then you'll have to do like a whole nother process and deal with that. So if you have your bachelor's degree, get that on your initial contract, and what you'll do is you'll go to basic, and then directly after that you'll go to OCS, then you'll get your branch, then you'll go to your branch's training. Yeah, there you go, adding my name, there you go, I see it now. What's it like being at Fort Benning for OSET in terms of changing from basic to AIT? Graduate basic on Thursday, start AIT on Monday. It's really not that much of a difference. There's a big thing that a lot of people think is kind of cool is your haircut. You get to have a high and tight instead of a shaved head. You get to go to the PX and maybe have a little bit more privileges, but you're still with drill sergeants. The drill sergeant's still going to be strict. It's not going to be as bad as basic training, even though you're still there, but you know, it'll just be a little bit more relaxed. So think of whenever you're at basic training, you'll be able to talk to your drill sergeant and be like, hey, what are you guys are going to do whenever we graduate? They will look at you a little bit differently because you will be soldiers at this point. When you graduate basic training, you are soldiers. When you're at basic training, you're not a soldier yet, so they're not going to treat you like you're a soldier. So there's just a little period there where, for me, I respect everybody who makes it through basic training. I did it. I know it sucks when I see and meet somebody who's been to basic training. I respect them definitely for sure, and your drill sergeants will too. So you'll see a little bit more relaxed. I lost it again. Which MOS is available for Airborne? Almost all of them, I think, if not all of them. So I can't think of any MOS that is not Airborne. If any of you guys know, let him know in the comment section right now, because I don't know. When would be the best time to buy a car after basic training? Should I have a car while at AIT? I don't think it's a good time to buy a car after basic training, especially if you're gonna, be near a military base. Don't ever buy a car near a military base, because they know you're a soldier and they will charge you. They will give you much higher interest rates, and you're gonna end up paying like twice as much for a car if you try to buy one near your base. You're like, oh yeah, I got a good deal. But yeah, go really far away from military post if you want to buy a car. I don't think that's necessarily a smart decision unless you're gonna buy an affordable car. And also, should you have a car while at AIT? I don't think it's that necessary. I don't think you should, because the other guys, if you have an AIT that's longer, you'll be able to carpool, you'll be able to take a taxi. I don't think, actually I know, you're really not going to need one at AIT. There's just not that much to do, not that many places to go, and you can walk a lot of places. So All right, man, this video is going on a lot longer than I thought. I want to join the Air Force, but I only have 1 year semester of ROTC available in my senior year. Will it help me at all? I plan to do ROTC in college. I believe the JROTC rules in joining is you have to have a year to qualify for E2. So if you do have enough time in JROTC, you can be bumped up to an E2, and then college ROTC, it's just going to be college ROTC. It's not really going to help you any there having JROTC prior knowledge. Okay, there we go. My fiance is in the reserves, and he is 68 whiskey. He also has an 8-year contract. What are the chances of him getting deployed? Like I said, probably 100%. Especially right now, for every one of you who are joining the military right now, including myself, if we don't get deployed, I will be very surprised. Every single one of you. I mean, if you have a 3-year contract, you might get lucky, but if you have a 6-year contract, an 8-year contract or whatever, and you don't get deployed, if we don't get deployed, I'll be really surprised, because it's about time that we get into a little bit more serious conflict right now with some of these other countries, and they will pull us all up. Whether you're active duty, reserve, National Guard, a lot of us are going to get pulled up to deploy. So I'd be really surprised if you don't deploy or your husband doesn't deploy. Hey, I signed a 3-year contract as an active duty infantryman. Any advice? Yeah, like, work your butt off. So 3 years is not that long. You'll be done with that before you know it. So if you're doing infantry, rucking is a huge deal, and what helps with rucking is running. So just work on that. Anything that you're going to learn at AIT, I think you're fine not to have any prior knowledge of it. If you know anything about weapons, that'll help, but really focus on your rifleman skills, your marksmanship when you're at basic training, because from what I hear from infantry guys, if you aren't at least a sharpshooter, then it's kind of like, wow, you can't shoot, you know, even if you're just expert. So or expert people are just like, wow, you know, you're shooting a 31 or whatever. But really focus on your marksmanship when you're at basic. I just finished a diet my recruiter had me do and lost 10 pounds, but need to lose 10 more. What workouts do you suggest? Are you currently working out? Because if you are, what I always tell people is to work out harder, because you always can. If you think about it, whenever you're in the gym, and let's say you're doing 3 sets of everything or 4 sets of everything, one really easy way to improve is just do 1 more set of everything. You'll be there an extra 20 minutes or so, but it'll just be another little step for you. Also, if you're not doing any cardio or anything, but it's kind of hard to suggest workouts when I don't have any knowledge of what you're doing right now. My recruiter wants me to do 11 Charlie. Is that front lines? There's a lot of jobs that are front lines, and I would consider that yes. I leave for basic in a month. I'm a reserve 91 Bravo right now. Can I change to 11 Bravo active before I leave? If you've already signed your contract, you've already signed the contract. So unless there's some loophole or something that I don't know about, then you can't change your contract. That's if you signed it, then yeah. I'm sorry. How many? Whoa, it jumped again. How many college credits did you get for your MOS training? 3. Not a lot. They try to tell you all this stuff like you're gonna get so many college credits for this thing, and if any MOS is gonna give you college credits, it's gonna be mine and like some other ones. But for my major, computer science, and then going in as a 25 Bravo, I only got 3 college credits for that, which is retarded. I probably, looking back on it now, I could have tested out of 2 classes for sure. I really think I could have. Like after AIT, I got those 3 college credits, but I'm pretty sure I would have done well enough to test out of 2 college courses that I've done so far, because like security for computers, that's a big thing. I had to take a security class for or last year, and I didn't really learn anything because I learned most of it at AIT. What is the Fat Boy program like? I make tape every time, but I'm way overweight requirements for my height posted for a DJ shooter as I'm interested in response. I don't really know of a Fat Boy program. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I don't know everything, but I've never heard of a Fat Boy program. Usually it's just lose some weight. Do they ever ask for airborne volunteers in basic? Not at basic, but probably at AIT. Now, I won't say probably. Maybe, possibly, probably not. But if you're lucky, you might get to, might, very small chance, get to have that opportunity. I was told, yeah, you're going to get that, but no. So, yeah. Is there any wars going on right now? Yes, there's always. This is the U.S., man. We're freaking always fighting wars. For example, the 75th Ranger Regiment is the only company, battalion, regiment in the entire world's army that has been constantly deployed since 2001. Right. So since that 9/11, freaking the 75th Ranger Regiment has been deployed, fighting, killing people since then. We're not at war right now, but we're fighting ISIS. We're doing all these other things. Donald Trump, we're going to war with Mexico. But yeah, so like we'll always be fighting some sort of battle. Whether or not it's technically considered a war, that's up for debate. But you know, we're always going to be doing something in somebody's business, trying to help out some country or do something. So, all right. It's almost been an hour, so I'm probably going to cut the video off here in a minute. How's 88 Mike in the Army? Actually, from people that I know, I'm in a transportation unit. They like it, so it's not that bad. I mean, I would say that you get experience on the civilian side being a truck driver, and you get a whole list of certifications when you're in 88 series. Like, you get freaking a whole lot of stuff that you can go to a civilian job and say, hey, I got all these driving certifications and I'm licensed with all of these vehicles and all that stuff. For the next 5-10 years, okay, that's really good civilian experience. But 10 years from now, whenever self-driving cars and Tesla and all this stuff take over, then, you know, the amount of, it's not going to be as useful being an 88 series than it is now. Okay. Why they call Fort Jackson Relaxin' Jackson? Because people who go to Fort Jackson will be like, oh no, but compared to Fort Benning, it's just not as strict. Some of the base training cycles might just be a little bit easier, so it just depends. Some Fort Jackson base training cycles will be, and definitely probably are, more difficult than some Fort Benning ones, but just as a whole, people compare basic training to Fort Benning, which is the one I went to. You know, Fort Leonard Wood, Fort Jackson, and all that stuff. Fort Sill, like, well, Fort Sill, is Fort Sill a basic training base anymore? I can't remember. I know it used to be, but yeah, they're just not as, you know, they're. It's kind of hard to say. It's, people get butthurt all the time, but they're honestly just not as difficult as Fort Benning. So that's why they call it Relaxin' Jackson. There's just nicknames for every base pretty much. I want to be in the Army Reserves, but I want to be with my girlfriend. Do I really get to spend time with her or not? Yeah, it's the Army Reserves. Yeah, you'll be able to spend plenty of time with her. The only time you're not going to get to spend time with her is when you're at training. At basic training, you're not going to be able to talk to her at all, except for through letters and, you know, the 3 times that you'll get to have a phone call. And then at AIT, you'll get to FaceTime her and do all that stuff. And then you get to come home. So, you know, depending on your AIT length, it's not going to be that bad. And I know a lot of people think, you know, the 5 or 6 months that you might be gone, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, it's really not that long whenever you look back on it. Whoa, I missed it again. Sure. Do you get a break between basic training and AIT, or do you ship out the same as graduation? You'll graduate from basic training. The next morning, you'll ship to AIT. Do a lot of people rank up in basic training? If you call it BT, that's weird. Do BCT, just a thing. But anyways, there's not a whole lot of people, so if you guys didn't know, you will have an opportunity if you are an E1 or an E2 to rank up at basic training. And essentially, for one, if you have a 300 PT score and you are an E1 or an E2 at basic training, you're going to rank up hands down, guaranteed. They don't do promotions for E3 to E4. They don't do that. But if you're E1 or E2, what they have is they have like just slots, right? So they'll be like, all right, we can promote 5 E1s to E2, and we can promote 5 E2s to E3s. And if you make that cut, then you'll get promoted, and if you don't, then you don't. But a surefire way to get promoted at base training, if you come in as an E1 or an E2, is get a 300 on your PT score, and you will get promoted for sure. Screw self-driving cars. I'm driving until the day I die. Yeah, you might be able to, but it's gonna be the same thing as like having, you know, I don't know, a horse, a dirt bike, a four-wheeler. You can drive one, you can have one, but it's just not that common. I think whenever self-driving cars take over the world, for the most part, they will in about 20 years. But having a gas-powered car where you actually drive it yourself is going to be really foreign to people, and it'll be cool to have, and it'll be fun. I think there'll be a whole community around it, even more so than there is now. There'll be like whole events dedicated towards people actually driving a car, because nobody will drive cars anymore, so it'll be like a thing. You know, maybe NASCAR will get its revamp or something whenever self-driving cars take over, because people will think it's cool, I guess. It'd be crazy if we end up together. I don't know if you're talking about me or somebody else, maybe going to the same place, but that would be kind of cool. I think it'd be really cool when I meet somebody for the first time, because the Army's huge, but it's really not that big. It's really not that big. You run into people that you never thought you would meet again, and it happens. So, I mean, I've got a good amount of subscribers at this point for as far as military goes. A couple thousand of you guys who are in the Army in the next year might run a pretty good chance of running into me at some point, so I think that'd be pretty cool. Matthew Oten, you there? Good app to have a study. Anyone shipping out for bidding? Alright, so I think that's basically it for this live stream. I honestly thought I was going to go about 15 minutes or less, so I've gone an hour. I've got to get back to work. I got some work to do. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. You know, it was pretty cool. So the audio, I think, was okay. I'm going to try and make sure the lighting is a little bit better for next time. And then we'll just see. So, you know, let me know in comments or something. But, you know, what's a good time for you? I don't know. I'm going to try and plan it out. This one was just a literally spur of the moment. Be vague. This was literally a spur of the moment live stream, and you guys blew me out. Like my expectations, I thought I was gonna get, you know, 1 viewer, 2 viewers, and I had at least 35 for the majority of this. So that's really cool. So yeah, I'll be uploading a video tomorrow morning. If you guys want to check that out, it'll be up at 11 a.m. EST. I also got to edit that video tonight. But yeah, so I'll have a video up tomorrow morning and Monday morning, so check out that. But yeah, see you guys in later.